I said, why not?
He was guilted into it.
You have to do this panel. It's Friday in San Antonio. It's like, what better thing to do? Cerveza? No, I don't know. Sorry.
Sean and I, we've done a couple of shows together, and he's always in a t-shirt and jeans. And I saw him tonight, I said, he's in a tie and a sport jacket.
It's because I woke up this morning
for
and
office.
I looked in the mirror and I thought, God, I look like crap. So I took an Uber to Macy's across the street. I got 3 shirts, 3 ties, a jacket, and a belt. Thank you very much.
All for $19.99, right? Special. No, I'm joking. It was a joke.
Well, since all these guys
no
walked in,
tag.
since all these guys walked in here, we didn't do like a proper intro.
$1,999, then it's more like it. You know.
Let me just do a real quick proper intro. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mark Walters, BigFanboy.com, and thank you so much for being here for Goonies Never Say Die. Let's give them a big hand. We really appreciate you guys being here at Alamocity Comic-Con, and Jonathan, you just mentioned, and I think you're correct, while you guys have done shows together, is this the first time all 3 of you have been on a stage together like this?
Yes, very first time, right? We've never done.
I would just lie, but I don't know if like people can figure it out. Like, absolutely.
No, I think there was, okay, well there was the one that was like a Warner Brothers one, right, that Dick had us do at Warner Brothers where we all did a panel together. But for actual Comic-Con or anything like that, I don't
This
see
would
it.
be the very, very first time.
Yeah. So there you go.
And I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions for us, right?
Yeah, we're going to take some questions
And we're going to get one from everybody.
A couple of quick notes. If you can, please try to keep your questions short so that we can get through as many of them as we can. And please, no requests for any like autographs, hugs, things like that. Just go see those guys at the table. They'll be happy to see you.
How awesome is this room? It's like
it's pretty cool, isn't it?
It's like prison chic.
Nice. Very nice.
I want to kind of kick this off and ask you guys, because I was just revisiting the film the other day in preparation for this panel, and the one thing that really strikes me about this film is, first of all, it holds up very, very well, but second of all, this is not a movie that would be made today, because I mean, when you look at like the real props that were made for the film, the actual ship that was made for the film, there's no way they would ever go through that kind of trouble today. So when you look back on it, does that aspect of the film kind of strike you as being a really special thing, that you were part of this thing that was grander and more epic in scale than what you would see in a movie today? Because today it would all be CGI.
Dick Donner has the pirate ship model on his, like, the table when you walk into his office. Like, and I think Steven might have one of them. Like, I don't know how many there were, but they really loved them. These are guys who are making some of the biggest, coolest movies of their day. And like the signature thing in there, you know, you walk into their offices and they've got posters that say, you know, 300 million for Lethal Weapon, and they've got the, you know, E.T. and all these things, but the thing they really loved was the pirate ship from the Goonies. So definitely love that. My kids just binge watched all the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And I remember thinking after we did Goonies, like, wouldn't it be great to do a pirate movie like the Pirates of the Caribbean at Disney, or like Real Pirates or something like that, where it's not just their skeletons, you could. So I don't know, I feel like things exist in their time and their place. And yeah, I mean, if people want to know about a sequel for Goonies, it's hard to make it because you can't capture that same quality, that same innocence, the same kind of irreverence, the same, just how we all kind of talked at the same time. You wouldn't, you know, you wouldn't be able to get away with that. People
Well, I think that's what's so great about the movie as well too, because Dick recognized an opportunity to allow us kids to be kids. We weren't actors playing these roles. We were just, you know, being ourselves. And I think a lot of, you know, because we were so, you know, great friends, we hung out together, we laughed, we cried. I mean, we were like a big family, and because of that chemistry, it transferred over onto the screen. And a lot of times, I mean, you know, I don't think you can make the same movie. I mean, it would cost, what, $100, $200 million today. We built all those sets. I mean, everything you see up on that screen, it was there. There was no There was no green screen.
Well, there was a little green
Almost.
screen.
It was like the very beginnings of industrial.
And it was
light
blue
magic.
screen. It wasn't blue. It was blue screen, not green
It
screen.
wasn't.
No, really, it wasn't blue screen.
It was like matte paintings.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
matte
For
paintings.
when,
It
you know
wasn't
what, I
like
can tell you what it was
visual effects.
exactly. It was for the end shot with the pirate ship, and it was for the part where the cave starts to crumble and fall apart right before it gets released. No. Well, that too. Yeah, that's the third one.
But it was like a combination
But you know,
of
when
like
right
miniatures and
when
matte paintings
the
and
ship
stuff.
is released at the very end of the movie, I don't know, you know, where you start seeing the bits of sunlight start breaking through and all of
Yeah.
that. That's the CGI they did.
I remember seeing the screen, like actual physical blue screen on when we were doing the bones scene, where if you play the thing wrong,
Okay.
yeah, and like and they had the camera down really low, and we kind of were all.
I had to fall into it. I had to like let myself go. You know, Steven's down there and he's on a ladder yelling at me, and then, well, not yelling, but telling me what to do. And there's a crane camera and like 5K lights and all the crew, and they're all standing beneath me. And they're like, yeah, so just throw yourself backwards and let the belt harness, which is like a little tiny cable that's like this big. They're like, it'll catch you, don't worry. And I'm like, really? It's gonna catch me? But it did. Lo
But
and
those
behold.
guys from ILM who came from like up north were explaining that technology like it was absolutely brand new. And it wasn't used a lot. It was just they were almost experimenting with it a little bit, just like they were with some of the special effects makeup. You know, it was right at a moment when technology was about to leap forward, but it really hadn't yet.
Yeah.
So it was pretty.
Cusp. The cusp.
We were on a cusp.
This was also a time when maybe things weren't quite, not as many precautions were taken on movie sets as maybe there are now. Did you guys sustain any injuries when you were working on
Oh, they were, are you kidding? That was Spielberg, man. They were safe.
I remember one of the 10Ks blew up. One of the 10K lights, sometimes they like the old-fashioned big Klieg lights, like you picture in, the 50s or 30s or something like that. And it's made with safety glass, really thick, like bottom of a Coke bottle, safety glass. And if it gets too hot, it can happen where all of a sudden, boom! And I remember everybody kind of ducking while these little bits of glass which had broken kind of the way they're designed to, kind of landed around. But it was definitely like uh-oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, but everybody was pretty.
Yeah, it was made to look really dangerous, right? But
No, considering all the perils that we went through. Did you like that? That was a little nod there. Anyway, yeah, no, really, considering all the dangerous elements, I guess you would consider having kids. But the thing is, you also have to remember, they didn't ever let us on the cave sets if they weren't working. And they also didn't let us on the pirate ship set at all until it was ready to film.
Carrie,
we try to
we
sneak
stuck
in.
in. We stuck in.
See? You see? The truth comes out.
Well, that was the big story.
Okay, can we go back to this for a second? So on the DVD commentary, right, I'm the only one that's honest, and everybody else is like, in front of Dick, they're like, nope, never happened. Nope. Right, now they're like, yeah, we all snuck in.
We were with Mark, right? Weren't we with Mark Marshall? They were like, if they saw anything, you're fired.
We're all gonna see Dick next week, I'm telling him.
Talking about Richard Donner and working with Richard Donner, at the time, he was like one of the biggest directors in Hollywood. But did you guys, as kids, have any kind of perception of who exactly this man was, and what was your memory of meeting him and starting to work with him? Because it's obviously different. You know, it was for him. I guess it was his first movie to really work with kids, a kid cast like that. Is that right? Because he had mostly been known for Superman.
Thinking of The Omen. There's no kid.
Yeah, The Omen. Yeah. Right.
I think during the production of the movie, he aged like 30 years.
Absolutely.
We drove him crazy.
Well, he's got this big, booming voice.
Hey, kid!
Hip hop, hip hop. And you kind of get this.
Get
like,
over here.
It's a little scary until you get to know him, and he's just like the biggest teddy bear you ever met. But when I auditioned, I kept messing up the lines. Like, Like, sorry, you can't do it. You don't know how to remember your lines. You know, like, and Steven got up and walked out of the audition. And I was like, well, there you go. Not only am I not going to be in Goonies, but I won't be in anything ever in Hollywood because Steven Spielberg just walked out on me. And Dick came around the table, because they were kind of in this big imposing table in Amblin, and he comes around and he kind of takes a knee next to me and he just talks to me a little bit. And I'm looking at him, and I appreciated that he was doing the bonding thing, but I, you know, like, kids are more sophisticated than people give them credit for. And at 12 or 13 or whatever, you know what's going on. But he talked to me, and then he wanted me to do it again. And I did it again, and I still messed it up at the same part, but he could tell that it was, that I was like the guy. He could tell that I was the guy. So there was a little bit of a bond that was established.
It was
at that
your
moment.
nervous awkwardness at that moment, though, that sold it. You see, that gave that innocence to the character that they were looking for.
Yeah, I'll try and put that on the next one and see if I can.
That innocence
But there were
a long time ago, buddy.
There were several times where we kind of returned to that rapport with each other. There was a time when they had written for the Fratellis to give a speech about the Spanish Armada, and when Willie had sort of made his break from the Armada and that whole thing, and he said it wasn't working, like it was too sinister or serious when they were doing it, so he wanted me to do it. And it was late at night, it was stage 20, and he brought me outside into the little alleyway. And it's awesome, like the Warner Brothers water towers up there, and you can see the gate where people come. You feel like a hotshot. You're like, yeah, I want to say it. Now the director's having like star to director conversation, and you're like, this is awesome. And he said, I'm going to tell you a story. And he said, I want you to just listen to the story, and then I want you to tell the story back to me. Can you do that? And I said, sure. So he told me the story of Willie and the Armada. And he's like, do you understand it? I said, yeah. He said, are you ready to do it? I said, sure. So we go in and we sit down and we film the thing, and it was like, I mean, it's an incredible acting lesson. There was no word.
Remember that moment. I remember that moment. Like, I remember.
Hey, you were like sticking your tongue through the thing or something.
No. That was a different moment, but close together. No.
No, it was a tableau shot.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It was the fourth shot where we were all kneeled down. We were all kneeled down, and you were looking at the glass thing. And I will never forget, because I was so tempted to want to keep like pushing the glass, even though it was cracked. I don't know, it's that obsession that's in a kid's mind, like I really want to touch it. But anyway, I was looking over your shoulder, and I remember that you were doing well, but there was something that he just wasn't getting out of it. And he pulled you aside and he said, let me tell you a story. And that was the moment.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to kick it over to audience questions here in 1 second, but I'm going to go ahead and get to it and just get it out of the way because inevitably someone will ask it. So, Goonies 2. Everybody asks you guys.
Did you guys like it?
Yeah, hold your
applause. It was good, right?
Hold your applause.
It was cool.
So I'm curious because I know everybody always asks you guys about it. Is there talk still about it? How close has it actually become a reality? And is there still a chance?